It began on a day that looked deceptively ordinary, a day that should have blended into the hundreds of filming sessions Janelle Brown had already survived across 2 decades of balancing truth, performance, emotional endurance, and the constant pressure of cameras capturing every crack in the Brown family. She walked in calmly, holding the weight of years on her shoulders, hoping, really hoping, that Cody would finally show up with something meaningful, something resembling a plan, something resembling responsibility, something resembling the man she used to believe in. But deep down, she felt a cold certainty that he wouldn't. That certainty lived in her bones, and as she sat down for what she thought would be a routine confessional, she carried a storm inside her that even she didn't fully see coming. The crew adjusted lights, checked microphones, and moved with the typical quiet professionalism of people who had seen countless emotional meltdowns, arguments, and messy confrontations across years of filming, believing they understood how far people could be pushed for content. But what they didn't know, what none of them could have predicted, was that they were moments away from witnessing something unprecedented, something that would stop production dead. Because while the cameras were warming up, while the producers exchanged glances heavy with unspoken intent, Janelle was taking slow breaths, trying to stay composed, unaware that she was walking into a carefully orchestrated ambush. Producers had information they had no right to withhold, information they intended to weaponize, not to help her, not to prepare her, not to warn her, but to catch a reaction raw enough to sell episodes and spin ratings. They had spent days whispering among themselves, planning how to drop the bomb in a way that would guarantee shock, betrayal, and tears. They believed they were in control of the narrative. They believed they could predict how Janelle would respond. They believed they were about to capture emotional devastation on camera. But what they did not understand was that this moment, this setup, this betrayal, would ignite in Janelle something they had never seen before. They were about to push the calmest wife in the Brown family to a breaking point she had been holding back for years. And once it snapped, there would be no stopping her. When the question finally dropped, delivered with calculated smoothness, each word sharpened to cut, Janelle froze. The producer leaned forward, voice steady, as if reading a grocery list rather than detonating someone's world. Cody and Robin had been discussing selling her portion of the Coyote Pass property, her investment, her security, her future, behind her back. They had already talked to agents. They had already made plans. They had already moved forward without her knowledge. And then the producer, pretending concern, asked if she had been informed. In that moment, the air in the room thickened. A silence fell so absolute that even the cameras seemed to stop breathing. Janelle's face drained of color, her heartbeat thundered in her ears, and everything she had held inside, the patience, the swallowed frustration, the carefully managed diplomacy, began to crack. Her voice, when it came, was cold, shaking, dangerous. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" And with that single sentence, the first fracture appeared in the foundation of Sister Wives itself. As Janelle sat frozen, her mind spiraling through years of emotional sacrifices, compromises, and betrayals she had endured for the sake of family unity, something inside her began to unravel in a way no one in that room had ever witnessed. This wasn't Christine leaving in tears. This wasn't Mary collapsing under years of emotional neglect. This wasn't Robin crying over imagined injustices. This was Janelle, the one who kept the peace, who grounded the chaos, who absorbed blow after blow to keep the family functioning, finally realizing that she had been set up not just by Cody and Robin, but by the very production team that had followed her life for years. And once she understood that, once it clicked that everyone had known except for her, she felt a wave of betrayal so deep it stole her breath. The producer tried to continue, fumbling for the next question on the list, eager to keep the cameras rolling while her shock was still fresh, but Janelle raised her hand sharply, cutting the words off in midair. Her voice was low, firm, and trembling with fury as she said, "Stop. Stop right now." The entire crew froze. The room shifted from controlled tension to raw panic as everyone realized they had crossed a line they could not uncross. The director tried to subtly signal the cameraman to keep filming, but Janelle saw it, and her eyes narrowed with warning. She repeated herself, louder, stronger, each syllable landing like a hammer. "Stop the cameras.
Now."
For the first time in 20 seasons, production staff hesitated, not because they didn't know what to do, but because none of them had imagined that Janelle Brown, of all people, could erupt with such controlled, frightening intensity. Producers shuffled nervously, trying to spin excuses, claiming they assumed she already knew, claiming they were simply following protocol, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But Janelle leaned forward, eyes blazing with truth, and said the words that shattered every lie in the room. "You knew I didn't know. That's why you blindsided me. You wanted a reaction. You wanted to watch me break." And in that moment, the dynamic shifted. She was no longer the calm wife, the level-headed one, the easy target. She was a woman betrayed on every front, by her husband, by the other wife, by the crew she had trusted, and she was done playing along. Without another word, she reached up, unclipped her microphone, slammed it into the hands of the nearest crew member, and stood. The assistant director whispered frantically into his headset. The production manager scrambled to stop her. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could stop what was coming. Janelle turned her back to the cameras and walked out of the building. No dramatic speech, no dramatic tears, no hesitation. Just the quiet, devastating finality of someone who had reached the end. And as the door swung shut behind her, sending a cold draft through the stunned silence, everyone in that room understood the same chilling truth. They had just lost control of their show, of their cast, of their narrative. Janelle Brown had walked out of Sister Wives, and nothing would ever be the same. The moment Janelle stepped outside, the production team erupted into chaos behind her.
Phones rang.
Voices rose. Executives demanded explanations. Crew members whispered in disbelief. Because losing a filming day meant losing money, losing footage, losing structure, but losing Janelle meant something far worse. It meant the entire foundation of the show was crumbling. As producers scrambled, Janelle sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel as years of suppressed fury pulsed through her veins. She wasn't thinking about contracts or cameras or consequences. She was thinking about betrayal. She was thinking about the fact that her husband of decades, her husband, had discussed selling her own land, her investment, without even looking her in the eye. And that's why she did something no one expected. She didn't go home. She didn't call Cody. She didn't cry. She drove straight to a lawyer. The lawyer listened in stunned silence as Janelle laid out everything: her investments, the property arrangements, the behind-the-scenes manipulation, the producer ambush, the secret meetings about selling Coyote Pass. And when the lawyer pulled up property maps, ownership filings, and internal financial notes, the truth hit Janelle harder than anything the producer had said. Cody and Robin weren't just considering selling land. They had been quietly rearranging ownership, shifting pieces on a board Janelle didn't even know she was playing on. Christine's portion? They planned to absorb it. Mary's involvement? Already minimized. Janelle's investment? Being leveraged to strengthen Cody and Robin's stake while weakening her own. It wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy. It was deliberate. It was manipulation at a financial and emotional level that made her stomach turn. Meanwhile, back on set, producers tried calling Cody, hoping he could calm the situation. Instead, he erupted, angry, defensive, self-centered, claiming Janelle was overreacting, claiming she was being difficult, claiming she was impossible to work with, complaining about how her walkout made him look. Not once did he express concern for her feelings. Instead, he positioned himself as the victim, and the production team instantly recognized the pattern they had seen for years. Cody's fragile ego always mattered more than anyone else's emotional reality. And while all this played out, Robin panicked behind the scenes, not out of empathy for Janelle, but because she feared how this would look on television. Christine, hearing the news, immediately called Janelle to support her, telling her she should have walked years earlier. Mary's reaction was complicated, layered with understanding and resentment after years of being dismissed. And for the first time, the show that had followed them for 2 decades felt like it was collapsing from within, shaken by the one woman they all thought would never, ever explode. In the days that followed, the sister wives' world spun entirely out of control. Fans erupted when rumors of the walkout leaked online. Hashtags surged, support exploded, old episodes were dissected for signs of manipulation, and the fandom rallied fiercely behind Janelle. She became a symbol of strength, of boundaries, of finally standing against the toxic patterns that had destroyed the Brown family from the inside.
Meanwhile, the network panicked.
Without Janelle, the entire premise of Sister Wives crumbled. She wasn't just a cast member. She was the glue, the voice of reason, the one who made the polygamous structure believable. Suddenly, executives were whispering about rebranding, restructuring, or even ending the show entirely. Some wanted to force her contract. Some wanted to apologize. Some suggested offering more money. But they all feared the same truth. Once a woman like Janelle finds her voice, she doesn't return to silence. Negotiations began, careful, quiet, desperate negotiations, offering her control over topics, over storylines, over filming conditions. But Janelle was no longer the woman who compromised for the sake of peace. She was a woman awakened, a woman betrayed, a woman who realized that in trying to break her, the production had instead unleashed her strength. And the show, the network, the entire Brown family dynamic trembled under the weight of that realization. Cody doubled down on his self-pity, convinced he was the victim. Robin retreated into image management panic. Mary watched from the sidelines with complicated emotions.
Christine cheered her on.
The fans stood behind her. And the network, suddenly aware of the beast they had created, found themselves powerless to control the narrative. Because Janelle had told them the truth the moment she walked out. You wanted my reaction. You wanted to watch me break. But I'm done. And those 3 words, spoken not in weakness, but in power, became the moment Sister Wives truly ended. Not on television, not in a confessional, but behind the cameras, in a room full of stunned producers, where the most patient, loyal, resilient wife finally set herself free. And the world, watching from the outside, finally understood that this wasn't just a meltdown. This wasn't drama. This wasn't manipulation. This was a woman claiming her worth. This was Janelle's liberation. And nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same again.